with me, Grandmaster Karsten Mueller. Thank you for being here and talking to us about the four-player Wait a second, I have it here. The four-player types standard model. You all know this for sure. Come on, camera, do it sharp. Yeah, there we go. Right? So this is what we're talking about. But not only that, we're also talking about Fritz 19. You've seen it, you've played it, you love it, we love it too. And we had some chess players competing against the character types of Fritz 19. The bull, the fox, you name it. But of course, the question is there a correlation between the four-player types and the characters of Fritz 19? Thus, we have Karsten here, and he will also analyze some of the games for your delight. Karsten, so is there a correlation or is it just a joke?
No, it's not just a joke, and I know that 4 doesn't equal 6, so it's not one-to-one realization. I studied mathematics for 10 years, and must have some.
You've just proven it. I didn't believe you until just now, yeah.
Okay, so, but it wasn't the aim, of course, of the Fritz 19 programmers to realize the four-player types model, and it does make sense, and I like the realization. And I think the correlation is as follows. Of course, the all-rounder, that's clear, is the best of all four-player types. And the modern engines are all-rounders. The alpha-beta algorithm is the pragmatic. The evaluation function with normal values would be a theoretical component of the theoretician. And the NN component of the evaluation function is a reflector quality. And activist qualities follow then from attacking the king or whatever, or from playing for win. So we have qualities of all four types in the all-rounder. And the timid player doesn't correspond because it's a purely emotional quality. If you have the F16 personalities model, then it would correspond. Then we have the two emotional axes. Oh. But I think the 16 personalities model is too complex. I can't remember all 16 names. I cannot characterize myself. So I like the four-player types model more. And I think it already has enough explanatory power. We don't need the two additional emotional axes. And it's real psychology, and I'm a chess trainer and not a psychologist, I see.
Lucky for us.
Okay, but now we come to the types which fit more. Yeah, most fitting, I think, is the bull. It's an aggressive player, and it's a clear activist. And it also shows clear activist weaknesses. We will see in a moment. Then the Swindler, the fox, is more or less, or correlates, let's say correlates, to an hyper activist. But I think the strongest correlation is clearly given for the bull. The Swindler does correlate, but the correlation is slightly weaker. We will see.
Perhaps.
You will see, at least in, yeah. Then we have the endgame pro, which should be an endgame reflector, but the correlation should be weaker. Because it tends to exchange when it can exchange, but a strong reflector will exchange when it's good to exchange. So it does make a difference which should show in the correlation, I'm sure. And we will see in this example. And then we have the positional player, the owl, and this does correspond, but we have to delete one of the two axes, and then we have a theoretician or a reflector. So it does correspond, but we have to delete one axis. Mm-hmm. But that's okay. We can. It's not a problem. It doesn't destroy the explanatory power, but it doesn't correspond to one of the types. So good. You see, 6 doesn't equal 4, but
it gets close.
The model has strong enough explanatory power, in my opinion, to explain the 6 characters. And I like the choice the Fritz programmers have made.
Me too. And we are going to see one of those choices facing our beloved Fritz trainer and content creator Robert Ris. He was playing the aggressive player. And if you are curious, if you haven't seen the videos before, shame on you, but don't worry, you can still do that. They're all available on the YouTube channel. You can see them on the ChessBase news site. You can even replay the games because Karsten took his time to analyze them a little bit and go to the key positions. And yeah, we will take a look at this right now with Robert Ris.
We will start with the most fitting, and I think activists are most common. Robert also is an activist like me with some theorist components, but activists should also be the most common player type. And if you're playing against an activist of certain strengths, one way to prepare for the game might be to play a few games against the bull to prepare for that.
Yes, good choice.
And I don't know numbers, and there are it must be investigated in more depths, but it might be that up to 40% of all chess players might be activists, but this is just an educated guess, not more. Okay. So activists against activists. Robert Ris against the bull.
Yeah, we're clear that Robert is an activist too. You mentioned it already. He uses an activist opening. Could you correlate openings often to certain player types? Of course.
Yeah. But it wasn't forced.
All right.
But this is a typical, and then we cast long and black short, and this is a typical activist approach. In this moment, I agree with you.
That's the difference.
But there are also many Scotch lines where both sides castle short. So I think the Scotch is too early. We need to know the subline in question if we want to go deeper into this player. Gotcha. Now I understand what you are meaning. Now I understand. This is an activist opening.
Okay.
This is clear. Absolutely clear. Typical activist approach.
G4.
And now we get a typical activist solution. It doesn't work, but it starts fire on board.
Okay, yes. Yeah, exactly, yes. So knight e5,
is given by the engine.
That would have been a more typical move to follow up, but
I don't know, but it's given by the universal engine.
But black decides to, as you said already, put fire on the board by actually taking a piece away.
It doesn't work, but it's a typical activist way to play.
Yes.
And now Robert also chooses the activist answer. A more strategical player would, if given enough time and calculation, would for sure go for this. It's more or less forced also. And here you can never lose here. Of course, it could
sounds good to me.
Yeah. A more strategical position of whatever player would for sure go here. Mm-hmm. Okay, but Robert is an activist himself and puts money all in.
Yeah.
It's absolutely no problem with it. But in this moment, he miscalculates. But I don't want to criticize him. He should go back. Keep everybody protected. And
who does that?
Yeah, okay. I got you. But now, according to the engine, G6 would equalize. Well, this is a typical activist move, but it loses.
Yeah.
But it's typical activist against activist. You have to always these super sharp, hyper sharp, concrete positions, and you go by intuition, and then, well. But knight d5 or knight b5, this wins. Double attack, and we win.
Huh.
At least what the engine says.
Straightforward, yeah.
Yeah, it might not be that straight. After queen c5, you just take the knight on h5, and that's it, yeah? Yeah, well. Okay, but Robert...
Yes, it's very simple. Okay. Why didn't we see that?
I don't want to criticize.
Well, the queen goes to g... But then...
C7.
But then... What the heck?
But then you take that one. So...
I can't believe okay, wait.
A pragmatic would have for sure played it, but with an activist, you can also have the activist solution.
Okay.
Pragmatic would for sure have taken the material. Absolutely sure.
Well, wow. Okay.
The player types model has in my opinion, a very strong explanatory power. But of course, caveat, I know what I want to explain. This is, of course, has to be taken into account. This takes away a bit of the value, but I nevertheless like it.
I understand.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, but here black now has a real counterplay, and this looks scary. It does look scary. And here c5 might objectively be better, but okay. Excuse me, I have to go back. But the bull goes all in.
We did this, so wait, c5 would have been better for black. I see. Yeah, exactly, yes.
Yeah,
Much
or
better.
equal,
Yeah.
or equal. I don't know, or equal.
Okay.
Better for black or equal, because here white is better. White is better here,
Yeah.
but
Now comes a curious situation.
it's not findable in a way. Yeah.
So you can check yourself right now at home. What player type are you? If you haven't thought about it right now, what would you play as white here? Because there is like some quite brutal differentiation, at least between the pragmatic player and the activist player, right?
Yeah.
So I would have chosen activist style.
You must be a very good defender here with white to.
Because it's a surprising move,
Yeah,
in my opinion. Go for it.
it's very surprising.
Show it.
What have to is computer choice.
So yeah, white gives up the piece again.
Yeah.
Just one, and now you have to...
and even takes back, but
Yeah.
it's even more surprising.
And that means it's save and better safe than sorrow.
Yeah. But I understand
right?
that. I understand that Robert didn't go for it.
Yeah.
But activists are often not so good defenders, and this is shown here because here. Oh, excuse me. Here, for some surprising reason, black is winning.
Yeah.
But here we see that the bull is not at full power. The full powered bull,
Good club
I
player.
guess, would have found, and black is winning.
Yes, and I actually analyzed the game at home because I wanted to also know why is black winning. If you also want to make a guess, go for it. But I think I remember after a lot of combination, queen h2, knight f4, etc., at one point, black plays b5. That means the white rook is basically gone. It's over.
But of course, also for an activist, there is a strong intuition that black has very, very strong attack.
Yeah.
And then you start to look at certain things. You see h2 is saying knight f4, b5 is a motive, queen c3 is a motive, whatever is. And then you start to look for defenses. And at activists, you are not so good at defense. And then you play it because you don't see a defense. But okay, but I don't want to criticize Robert at the bull is not at full power.
But this
full power
motive-
computers find it obviously because I prepared it with a computer. So.
I'm just noticing if you ever have a position, I mean, it rarely enough something like this happens, but if the rook is in front of the pawn on b4, there's always this little motive of b5 maybe, right?
Well, maybe.
Maybe, okay. Maybe I'm taking it a bit too far.
A bit to generalize it quite far, but okay. Robert takes the bull by the horns, but here still this would equalize. But this is typical for activists. They want to keep all three results in the game. They're playing for a win, but now comes, and this ends the fun.
Yeah, it's a good move by
Very
Robert.
strong, stopping everything.
Yeah.
Robert takes it now. Here, b takes a4 would win, by the way, as well. But Robert has another plan. Robert wants to exchange.
And rook
rooks.
b8 only move again to win this. And Robert plays it correctly.
Yeah, and from now on, Robert converts the game well, which was important to play series 3 in the end to draw against the characters of Fritz. 19, very fantastic match. You can follow all games with deep depths at the ChessBase web side.
Absolutely. Let's go to the next game because we also have some more.
Yeah, let's go to the 27th. Yeah, to that moment already. Let's jump a bit ahead.
Yes, that's Jan Jettel against the strong club player, the Swindler, the hyperactivist, more or less.
Yeah, the correlation, I think, is slightly less strong than between the bull and an activist.
Mm-hmm.
The bull, to me, really looks like a
well-designed player.
Well-designed realization of an activist. While here, of course, the fox, we will see. Okay, yeah, here, of course, black to play, and with this king on h7, man must be very in a very good mood to play for a win with black here. Usually, I think I, as activist to hyperactivist, would be very glad to make a draw with black, and so I would play rook d7, queen of 8, rook d8, and off a draw.
So in this way, the Swindler was perfectly well established because I would have never taken a draw here. Even as black, I would have just go like, it's fun. It's interesting. Let's see where we can.
Well, but in my opinion, even as this can never work. Our king is weaker. Everybody is on the queen side, and okay, we are losing. But of course, it's not so easy to exploit. And here, Jan could have won, and maybe the Swindler himself would have found. But for a human, the refutation is not easy to find.
I would have
to move and win.
Yeah. Well, I thought, of course, g6 check, and then the queen goes in, but...
this is much stronger.
What a move, I mean.
It opens the H file for our rook. And yeah, if you take with the main line in a way, but okay, this is a difficult move to find. Yeah?
Very difficult, but beautiful, because, of course, this is what Fritz 19 is made for. It gives those difficult moves sometimes, if you're lucky in a game. And then it's up to you to find it. You have all the time. You can think about it for days, even if you want to. But yeah, this is what it's made for. And this pattern with this bishop, it will occur a couple of times even.
Yeah, we will see. And then now there's no good defense against queen g6 check and taking the knight with check. And if the knight goes back, then the H file is open.
It's very crazy.
Yeah. A game over.
Game over.
Okay, but like this, okay. I didn't want to criticize it too strongly. It's a human move. But here, still, you guess it now, this is still very strong. But it's not so natural than the move before anymore, and it's
Definitely
also not so strong anymore. Okay, here now we have a draw again, but Jan maybe guessed that the Swindler didn't want to play no rook d8. Yeah, guessed. And Jan guessed correctly. But even this cannot work, because White's king is still absolutely safe, and you take the pawn. And what kind of swindle is this? But yeah, and now this would be even easier in a way. But still, we still need to have this
once again. This bishop thing.
Everything the same. Yeah. Okay. Jan plays rook d1. Also okay, but it's also okay, but now we have reached another big moment, of course.
This is probably from all the games, this is the most fascinating move you've analyzed, Karsten, because so take a minute, think about this position for a white. You pause the video, think about what would be a clever...
I guess the Swindler would have played it if it had been white.
Maybe.
Yeah, well.
So it is. It's bishop to e8.
Yeah. Thus stopping exchange of attacking potential, opening attacking roads, diverting. It's you cannot take. If the queen takes, I just take back and win the exchange. And if you take here, I have the Zwischenschach, and I am rook d6 followed by mate is threatened.
Yeah,
and you are losing.
Very crazy.
Yeah. Okay. Jan took, and now is still winning, but now it's a technical win and more demanding. Technically, much more demanding. And here he could still win by bishop e8 check, but it's technically much more demanding. But surprisingly, this is a mistake, and now the swindle has worked. And amazingly, their position is a draw now. It's amazing. The swindle has worked. You know that. But now,
I know that feeling.
We all know that feeling.
But normally I'm the black player.
But okay, here again comes, of course, a moment where here comes an absolutely ununderstandable move even to... Here, of course, it's in a way ununderstandable why the computer didn't force a draw. You just can't... You cannot escape. It's a draw.
But it was almost made a second ago, so...
Yeah, well, but the computer doesn't have these...
And then you get all those pawns, you know? And
it is like... not... this move is completely incomprehensible.
You mean rook d2, yes.
Yeah, it's completely incomprehensible, but okay, it's okay, maybe this knight e5, f3, but it's not... But it would still draw, but then now we have to pull every resource to draw.
Well, that is also very difficult to find.
But hyperactive activists are often not so good defenders. So this is now losing, but there will still come one big swiddle, and it will work. Now Jan escapes. And this is one of the reasons why rook d2 was not the most fortunate choice. Okay, now Jan has everything under complete control, and this big swindle is needed to swindle him. Nice swindle.
Yeah, and I already saw like a couple of moves ago, I saw like, okay, white won, right? There's no escape of the checkmate.
No stalemate, and you resign. That would be the natural end of the game. But Jan falls for it, and now the Desperado rook just follows Jan's king, and a draw we have. But Fritz, fortunately for mankind, decided to resign.
Well, yeah, but after all, it was a draw, like rated as a draw because we said like it was a swindle and it worked, so we accepted the fate. But there was one more game which we will take a look at.
The deepest of the things we looked at. Svitlana Demchenko against the turtle. And the turtle could be seen as an endgame reflector. Mm-hmm. It doesn't correlate one-to-one to a reflector because it tends to exchange when exchanges can be made, and a strong reflector will exchange when exchanges are good for her or him. So, yeah. Okay, and this poses very, very deep questions. It was very risky from Svitlana to go here.
Well, it was my fault, obviously, but it's like it looks so uncomfy. I mean, yes,
it's
we have the pawns.
It's very uncomfortable.
We always take black in this, I guess.
The computer claims that bishop e1 is still 0-0-0, but yeah, well, after all, we are not computers.
Bishop e1, yeah.
Okay, we are no computers.
Yeah, it was a mouse slip, bishop f2.
This is a mistake. Now the turtle shows reflector qualities. Yeah. These small combinations are often seen in reflector games like Capablanca was also thought the master of the small combinations and one of the strongest human reflectors of all time.
Yeah.
Reflectors, by the way, should be very seldom, maybe about only 5 to 10%. But 5 of the world champions were reflectors. This is all quite fascinating in a way, I think so.
It is.
Might be a good sign for reflector Vincent Keimer, who has entered the top 20 of the world. Very strong German talent.
Fingers crossed.
And reflector from a player type.
Can I ask you quickly, one of the upcoming super talents from, let's say, India, maybe also Uzbekistan, who is a reflector of those? Is there any? Or is it just Vincent Keimer, one of the...
Vincent is a relatively clear reflector. Mm-hmm. The other are more activists or pragmatics. This also, by the way, for humans, the most common type.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And for business managers, it should be like the sum of activists and the sum of, activists or pragmatics. Yeah.
Yeah.
And for humans, the sum of activists plus pragmatics compared to the sum of reflectors and theoreticians should be for business managers 3 to 1. And I guess for chess players, it's more like 2-1 or slightly more than 2-1.
Anyway, the tactic of black
Knight b3
fell upon us.
Yeah, and now, well, now it's really a tough fight here. Very unpleasant.
Those aren't the games which aren't fun to play anymore, obviously.
Yeah.
You want to have a winning position.
Here you need deep reflector qualities. And Svitlana should have exchanged. And the idea is that white, this again would win by a small combination. And here we want to exchange a rook. White's aim is to exchange a rook. Yeah. And this is very important to get a theoretical endgame. Both black's bishops are attacked, so black has to exchange a rook. And this is what white
This is forced, right?
Yeah. And then we need, So this is technically imprecise, but as Svitlana knew that she's playing against a turtle and the turtle exchanges when it can exchange, maybe I should take it away. Sometimes you can use these player types considerations also in human games.
Yeah.
But objectively, of course, a deep reflector quality is black doesn't want to exchange. It's a very good guideline, and this is much better. And the idea is to keep everybody on the board. Okay, the queens we can't keep everybody on the board. The queens we must exchange. But now you cannot go for a rook exchange. And then it's, black just doesn't exchange. You can't exchange it. And then it's not a technical endgame because my rook is always threatening to visit you sooner or later.
Yeah.
And this is a computer line, but it shows it in a way. And and now we see why it wasn't good to keep the rooks on the board. But this is a deep reflector quality, and Svitlana knew she was playing against a turtle, so maybe it was unfair to criticize her. If you take the player types model and these into consideration, then it should be taken away, maybe.
I'm laughing because it sounded funny. Svitlana was aware she's playing against a turtle.
Yeah. Well,
which is true.
Yeah, well, but you shouldn't overemphasize the point, of course, but you can use it. And this can be even used against certain opponents in certain situations. Mm-hmm. As long as you don't if you are winning and winning by then you go and win and you don't, look at the player types things. Okay, here we have another question. And again, of course, Svitlana should try to make exchange rooks.
Yeah, we tried. We did it clumsily. This was the right approach. Rook to a3.
But still, here she should go here. It costs the pawn, but whatever. And now we have a technical land. We will rook be exchanged. We have a technical land game, and then I don't know. It might be winning for black or not, but it's not so clear. And if it's winning, it will last forever because the bishops need. Yeah, you need to activate the king. The bishop can attack only every square only once. The rook can, activate forever. And it's, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But it must be. What must be, must be.
What must be, must be.
Yeah.
Famous last words.
Because here the thing is black will win. Black has another motive, a direct king attack, thanks to the active black rook. Typical for an endgame, the king comes, and here this is not fun anymore. It's not This is not a technical endgame because black has a king attack and white hasn't. And here, of course, but here again we can one final point to end this stuff. We can see that the turtle is not an activist because no activist would play it. But I like the way and this might still be, there might still be some more interesting things to be done in the future, but I already like the way it is done. And one thing which already makes some sense from the training point of view or preparation point of view, if you know that you play against an activist, then it might be an idea to play a few training games against the bull. This, from that point of view, looked at, in my opinion, at the moment, makes the most sense.
It's a good point. And yeah, if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. It's in the article also, the 4-player type model, standard model, more and more popular for a very good reason. Yeah, Karsten, thank you very much for this insight. It was very informative and fun. I hope you enjoyed it too at home, and we will see each other another time.
My pleasure, many thanks, and see you another time.